Like most 3D programs, 3ds Max uses something called a project folder for asset management. And an example of a project folder is the exercise files I provided with the course. So I'll open that up so we can see what a project folder looks like. Inside that project folder are some very specifically named subfolders for different types of data. For example, inside scenes, we have .max scene files, and they store geometry and animation. However, the .max scene file does not store images or sounds. If you've got a 2D image applied as a texture map, for example, that needs to go in a separate folder. It'll be here inside of Scene Assets, Images. These are the documents I provided with the course. And in order to maintain the links between these different file types, 3ds Max utilizes the project folder structure. The project folder is also very convenient in situations where you want to, for example, move your project to a different location or a different computer, or archive it. All the assets you need to load up a particular scene are stored inside the project folder in one of its various subfolders. And so this exercise files folder is a project that encapsulates all the data necessary for the course. Let's look in 3ds Max how to create a project folder and also how to set a project folder, that is, to point 3ds Max at an existing one. If you don't have the exercise files that came with the course, you can create a project folder. I'll do that here in the Windows interface. I recommend that you create the project folder outside of 3ds Max. So I'll create one here, right-click, and choose New Folder, and I'll call it Aaron's Project. Then I'll go to 3ds Max and go to the File menu and choose Set Project Folder. And this will allow you to point at an existing project or to create one. Click on that. And we now see a dialog labeled Browse for Folder. And by default, it will be pointing at the 3ds Max default project. It's located in the current user's documents folder. Well, we want to create a new project folder structure inside the folder we just created. And that's on my desktop. And I'll just choose Aaron's Project. 3ds Max looks inside that folder, and if no project exists, then one will be created. Click OK. And let's verify that. I'll minimize 3ds Max and double-click on the Aaron's Project folder. And as expected now, it's been populated with all of the 3ds Max project subfolders. There's also a file here with an extension .mxp, and that's a list of paths. Back in 3ds Max, to reference an existing project, we simply use the same command. Go to the File menu and choose Set Project Folder. And in this case, I will choose Exercise Files. It's very important that I select the top level of the project. Inside that top level is that .mxp file that we just saw. And if no .mxp file is seen by 3ds Max, then a new project folder structure will be created. But if that MXP file does exist, 3ds Max will know to set to that project folder. What does that mean for us? Well, it means that when we get to this state, we need to select the root level of the existing project because that's where that MXP file is. If we selected one of the subfolders, for example, Archives, there's no MXP file inside there. And what will 3ds Max do? It will create a new project folder inside of Archives. And that will make us crazy because now we'll have an Inception-like situation in which we have a project folder nested inside another one. Just be sure you're selecting the root level of an existing project and click OK. Once that's done, we can now go into the File menu and choose Open, and we're taken directly to our current project scenes. And then we can load up one of our scenes for the course. I'm not going to do that now. I'll just cancel out of that. That's an overview of how project folders work, how to create a new project folder, and also how to reference or set to an existing one.